Hello my brothers. The grace and peace of our Lord Jesus Christ. My name is Carlos Miguel dos Anjos. I am a missionary of Jesus and I will, through this video, report on the history of religions in the United States of America. In this content, in addition to history, you will also contemplate freedom of religion, stories and photos of all the cathedrals of the respective religions, as well as graphics from all states containing information on the percentage of religions in each state. First, I ask you my dear brother and sister to subscribe to my channel, leave your like and activate the bell so that you can receive the YouTube signal of the new videos that will be released. Emphasizing that I will be inserting all the verses from the Bible from Genesis to Apocalypse. Each verse will be a video containing the text of the verse and then the study of it. And if you want a verse, before you post them on YouTube, just ask through the comments to release the video no later than 24 hours, or through WhatsApp, which will be in the description of this video. Religion in the United States. Religion in the United States is characterized by a diversity of religious beliefs and practices. Various religious beliefs flourished/emerged within the United States. A large majority of Americans reported that religion plays a very important role in their lives, a proportion unique among developed countries. Historically, the United States has always been marked by religious pluralism and diversity, starting with various beliefs native to the pre-colonial era. In colonial times, Anglicans, Roman Catholics, and mainline Protestants, as well as Jews, arrived from Europe. Orthodoxy has been present since the Russian colonization of Alaska. Several dissenting Protestants, who left the Anglican Church, greatly diversified the religious landscape. The Great Awakening gave birth to several evangelical Protestant denominations. The number of members of Methodist and Baptist churches grew dramatically in the Second Great Awakening. In the 18th century, deism found support among the American elite and philosophers. The Episcopal Church, which separated from the Anglican Church, emerged in the American Revolution. New Protestant branches such as Adventism emerged. The Restorers and other Christians such as the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Latter-day Saint movement, the Churches of Christ, and Christian Science, as well as the Unitarian and Universalist communities all spread in the 19th century. Pentecostalism emerged in the early 20th century as a result of the Azusa Street revival. Scientology emerged in the 1950s. Unitarian Universalism resulted from the merger of Unitarian and Universalist churches in the 20th century. Since the 1990s, the religious percentage of Christians has decreased due to secularization, while that of Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims and other religions has tended to increase. Protestantism, historically dominant, ceased to be the religious category of the majority in the early 2010s. The majority of American adults identify themselves as Christian, while about a quarter say they have no religious affiliation. According to a 2014 study by the Pew Research Center, 70.6% of the adult population identified themselves as Christian, with 46.5% participating in a variety of churches that could be considered Protestant and 20.8% professing Catholic beliefs. The same study says that other religions, including Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Islam, collectively make up about 6% of the population. According to a survey conducted in 2012 by the Pew Forum, 36% of North American adults say they attend services almost every week or more. According to a 2016 Gallup poll, Mississippi, with 63% of its adult population described as very religious, saying that religion is important to them and attending religious services almost every week, is the most religious state in the country, while New Hampshire, with just 20% of its adult population described as very religious, is the least religious state. History of religion in the United States. From the beginning of the colonial period, when some English and German colonists came seeking religious freedom, America was deeply influenced by religion. That influence continues in American culture, social life, and politics. Several of the original 13 colonies were founded by colonists who wanted to practice their own religion in communities of people of the same faith. The Massachusetts Bay Colony was founded by Congregationist English Puritans, Pennsylvania by British Quakers, Maryland by English Catholics, and Virginia by English Anglicans. Despite this, and as a result of religious conflicts and preference in England, the Plantation Act 1740 would establish an official policy for new immigrants arriving in British America until the American Revolution. The text of the First Amendment to the country's Constitution states that Congress shall not make any law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise of it, or shortening freedom of expression or of the press, or the right of the people to assemble peacefully and to seek redress from the government for complaints. It guarantees the free exercise of religion, in addition to preventing the government from establishing a state religion. However, the states were not bound by the provision, and in the late 1830s, Massachusetts provided tax money to local congregational churches. The Supreme Court since the 1940s interpreted the 14th Amendment as applying the First Amendment to state and local governments. President John Adams and the unanimous Senate endorsed the Tripoli Treaty in 1797, which stated, "The government of the United States of America is in no way based on the Christian religion." The researchers and expert authors referred to the United States as a Protestant nation or founded on Protestant principles, specifically emphasizing its Calvinist heritage. The modern official motto of the United States of America, as established in a 1956 law signed by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, is "In God We Trust." The phrase first appeared on U.S. coins in 1864. According to a 2002 Pew Research Center survey, nearly 6 out of 10 Americans said that religion plays an important role in their lives, compared to 33% in Britain, 27% in Italy, 21% in Germany, 12% in Japan, and 11% in France. The research report stated that the results showed that the United States is more similar to developing countries, where higher percentages say that religion plays an important role, than with other rich countries, where religion plays a smaller role. In 1963, 90% of American adults claimed to be Christians, while only 2% did not profess religious identity. In 2014, about 70% identified themselves as Christians, while about 23% said they had no religious identity. Freedom of religion in the United States. The federal government of the United States was the first national government not to have an official religion endorsed by the state. However, some states established religions in some form until the 1830s. Modeling the provisions relating to religion within the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, the framers of the Constitution rejected any religious test for office, and the First Amendment specifically denied the federal government any power to enact any law pertaining to an establishment of religion or prohibit its free exercise, thus protecting any religious organization, institution, or denomination from government interference. The decision was mainly influenced by European rationalist and Protestant ideals, but it was also a consequence of the pragmatic concerns of minority religious groups in small states that did not want to be under the power or influence of a national religion that did not represent them. Abrahamic religions in the United States. The largest religion in the USA is Christianity, claimed by the majority of the population, 70.6% in 2014. Among those surveyed, about 46.5% of Americans are Protestant, 20.8% are Catholic, 1.6% are Mormons, the name commonly used to refer to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and 1.7% have affiliations with various other Christian denominations. Christianity was introduced during the period of European colonization. Washington National Cathedral, an Episcopal cathedral in Washington, D.C. According to a 2012 review by the National Council of Churches, the 5 largest denominations are: the Roman Catholic Apostolic Church, with 68,202,492 members; the Southern Baptist Convention, with 16,136,044 members; the United Methodist Church, with 7,679,850 members. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, with 6,157,238 members. The Church of God in Christ, with 5,499,875 members. The Southern Baptist Convention, with over 16 million adherents, is the largest of over 223 distinctly named Protestant denominations. In 2007, members of evangelical churches represented 26% of the American population, while another 18% belonged to the main Protestant churches and 7% belonged to historically black churches. A 2015 study estimates about 450,000 Christian believers of Muslim origin in the country, most of them belonging to some form of Protestantism. In 2010, there were approximately 180,000 Arab Americans and about 130,000 Iranian Americans who converted from Islam to Christianity. Dudley Woodbury, a Fulbright Islam scholar, estimates that 20,000 Muslims convert to Christianity annually in the United States. Major Protestant denominations in the United States. Historians agree that members of the major Protestant denominations played leadership roles in many aspects of American life, including politics, business, science, the arts, and education. They founded most of the country's leading higher education institutes. According to Harriet Zuckerman, 72% of America's Nobel Prize winners between 1901 and 1972 identified themselves as having a Protestant origin. Wealthy families such as the Vanderbilts and Astors, Rockefeller, DuPont, Roosevelt, Forbes, Whitneys, Morgans, and Harrimans are major Protestant families, although those affiliated with Judaism are the most educated and richest religious group in the United States, and those affiliated with Catholicism, due to their size, have the highest number of adherents of all groups in the highest income bracket. Some of the first colleges and universities in America, including Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Columbia, Dartmouth, Williams, Bowdoin, Middlebury, and Amherst, were all founded by the major Protestant denominations. By the 1920s, most had weakened or abandoned their formal connection with a denomination. James Hunter argues that the private schools and colleges established by the main Protestant denominations, as a rule, still want to be known as places that promote values, but few go as far as identifying those values as Christian. Overall, the mainline distinction of Protestant identity has largely dissolved since the 1960s. Roman Catholicism in the United States. While the Puritans were securing their community, members of the Catholic Church in England were also planning a refuge, as they were also being persecuted because of their religion. Among those interested in providing a refuge for Catholics was the second Lord of Baltimore, George Calvert, who established Maryland, a Catholic landowner, in 1634, more than 60 years after the founding of the Spanish mission of St. Augustine in Florida. Although small in number at first, Catholicism grew over the centuries to become the largest single denomination in the U.S., primarily through immigration but also through the acquisition of continental territories under the jurisdiction of the French and Spanish Catholic powers. Although the Catholic and indigenous European population of these former territories was small, the material cultures there, the original foundations of the mission with their canonical Catholic names, are still recognized today, as they were known before, in various cities in California, New Mexico, and Louisiana. As the number of Catholics increased, they built a vast system of schools, from elementary schools to universities and hospitals. The first Catholic university in the USA, Georgetown University, was founded in 1789. Since then, the Catholic Church has founded hundreds of other colleges and universities, in addition to thousands of elementary and secondary schools. Schools like the University of Notre Dame are ranked best in their state, Indiana, while Georgetown University is ranked best in the District of Columbia. 12 Catholic universities are also ranked among the top 100 universities in the U.S. Christian settlers in the United States. Starting in 1600, European colonists introduced the Anglican and Puritan religions, as well as Baptist, Presbyterian, Lutheran, Quaker, and Moravian denominations. The Salt Lake Temple in Salt Lake City, Utah. Starting in the 16th century, the Spanish, and later French and English, introduced Catholicism. From the 19th century to the present, Catholics arrived in the United States in large numbers due to the immigration of Italians, Hispanics, Portuguese, French, Poles, Irish, Mountain Scots, Dutch, Flemish, Hungarians, Germans, Lebanese, Maronites, and other ethnic groups. During the 19th century, two main branches of Eastern Christianity also arrived in America. The Orthodox Church was brought to America by groups of Greek, Russian, Ukrainian, Serbian, and other immigrant groups, mainly from Eastern Europe. At the same time, several groups of immigrants from the Middle East, mainly Armenians, Copts, and Syrians, brought Eastern Orthodoxy to America. The Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C., the largest Catholic church in the USA. Several Christian groups were founded in America during the Great Awakening. Interdenominational evangelicalism and Pentecostalism emerged, new Protestant denominations such as Adventism, non-denominational movements, such as the Restoration Movement, which over time separated into the Churches of Christ, Christian churches and Churches of Christ, and the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, Jehovah's Witnesses, called Bible students in the latter part of the 19th century, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormonism. The strength of various sects varies greatly in different regions of the country, with rural parts of the South having many evangelicals but very few Catholics, except Louisiana and the Gulf Coast, and the Hispanic community, which consists mainly of Catholics, while the urbanized areas of the North Atlantic and Great Lakes states, as well as many industrial and mining cities, are strongly Catholic, although still quite mixed, mainly due to the strongly Protestant African American communities. In 1990, nearly 72% of Utah's population was Mormon, as were 26% of neighboring Idaho. Lutheranism is most prominent in the upper Midwest, with North Dakota having the highest percentage of Lutherans, 35% according to a 2001 survey. The largest religion, Christianity, has declined proportionately since 1990. While the absolute number of Christians increased from 1990 to 2008, the percentage of Christians fell from 86% to 76%. A nationwide telephone interview with 1,002 adults conducted by the Barna Group found that 70% of American adults believe that God is the all-powerful and omniscient creator of the universe that still governs it today, and that 9% of all adult Americans and 0.5% of young adults hold what the survey defined as a biblical view of the world. Episcopal, Presbyterian, Eastern Orthodox, and members of the United Church of Christ, 55, had the highest number of undergraduate and graduate degrees of all Christian denominations in the United States, as well as the most salaried. Judaism in the United States. After Christianity and no religion, Judaism is the fourth highest religious preference in the U.S. Today's Jews have been present in the U.S. since the 17th century, although large-scale immigration did not occur until the 19th century, largely because of the persecutions in Eastern Europe. The CIA Fact Book estimates that 1% of Americans belong to that group. Approximately 25% of that population lives in New York. A significant number of people identify themselves as American Jews in ethnic and cultural lands, better than other religious people. The 2001 ARIS study demonstrated that there are approximately 5.3 million adults in the American Jewish population, 2.83 million adults, 1.4% of the adult U.S. population, are estimated to be adherents of Judaism. 1.08 million are estimated to adhere to any religion, and 1.36 million are estimated to adhere to a religion other than Judaism. According to the 2001 National Jewish Population Survey, 4.3 million Jewish Americans have a greater connection to the Jewish community than other religions or cultures. Jews are generally regarded as more of an ethnic group than a religion. Some 4.3 million Jewish Americans consider themselves strongly connected to Judaism. About 80% have some luck in their commitment to Judaism, ranging from attending daily services to the Passover Seder or lighting Hanukkah candles. Of these 4.3 million strongly connected Jews, 46% belong to a synagogue. Among those who belong to a synagogue, 38% are members of Reform synagogues, 33% are conservative, 22% Orthodox, 2% Reconstructionist Judaism, and 5% are other types. The examination also found that Jews from the Northeast and the Midwest are generally more practicing than Jews from the South or the West. Also reflecting a trend observed among other religious groups as well, Jews in the Northwest of the United States are typically the least practicing. In recent years, there has been a visible trend of secular American Jews called Baalei Tshuva, in which they return to religious practices, in most cases following the Orthodox trend. Buddhism in the United States. Buddhism entered the United States during the 19th century with the arrival of the first immigrants from East Asia. The first Buddhist temple was established in San Francisco in 1853 by Chinese Americans. Throughout the 19th century, Buddhist missionaries from Japan came to the USA. Simultaneously with these processes, certain U.S. intellectuals became interested in Buddhism. The first prominent U.S. citizen to convert to Buddhism was Henry Steele Olcott. One event that contributed to the growth of Buddhism in the USA was the Parliament of the World's Religions in 1893, which was attended by many Buddhist delegates from China, Japan, Thailand, and Sri Lanka. The 20th century was characterized by a continuation of the trends of the 19th century. The second half, by contrast, saw an emergence of the main currents of the Buddhist movement that became a mass and a religious phenomenon. Co-associations and foreign teachers, such as Soka Gakkai and Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama, of Tibetan Buddhism, began organizing missionary activities when converts from the USA established the first Western institutions, temples, and Buddhist worship groups. Estimates of the number of Buddhists in the United States range from 0.5% to 0.9%. Islam in the United States. The history of Islam in the USA begins in the 19th century with the confirmed arrival of the Muslim explorer and sailor Istunico de Zamer and several Muslim visitors. Although very small, the Muslim population has increased tremendously over the past 100 years. Recent estimates of the Muslim population in the United States are highly controversial. Much of the growth was due to immigration and conversion. Up to a third of American Muslims are Africans who converted to Islam during the past 70 years, most of whom first joined the Nation of Islam, although much later a Sunni current began. Research indicates that Muslims in the US are generally assimilated and prosperous than Muslims in Europe. They also suggest, however, that they are less assimilated than other communities. There are many Islamic organizations in political support of this community. In 2003, writer Stephen Schwartz accused the Muslim Students Association of the USA and Canada of pursuing an Islamic agenda. Muslim immigration increased in 2005, just as more people from Islamic countries became legal permanent residents in the US than any year in the previous 2 decades. The number of Muslims in the US is controversial. The most accepted estimates of Muslims in the US are 2.35 million. 0.8% of the total population. For some time, media outlets have accepted estimates of 6 million to 10 million Muslims, but those predictions have no empirical basis. Hinduism in the United States. The first time Hinduism entered the United States is not clearly identified. However, large groups of Hindus have emigrated from India and other Asian countries since the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. During the 1960s and 1970s, the fascination with Hinduism contributed to New Age thinking. During the same decades, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, a reformist Vaishnava Hindu organization, was founded in the USA. Currently, estimates of Hindus in the United States suggest a number of nearly 800,000 people, or about 0.4% of the total population. The Hindu religion is growing in the United States, not only thanks to immigration, but also due to the conversion of many Westerners. Hinduism is increasing in popularity and influence over public life. In 2004, the Hindu American Foundation, a national institution for spreading religion and protecting the rights of the American Hindu community, was founded. Hindu temples flourished in the United States, and recently, in July 2007, a Hindu service opened a session in the Senate. The event was criticized and attacked by many evangelicals and Christian fundamentalists. Unitarian Universalism. Unitarian Universalism, UIsm, came into existence as a single religion when the Unitarian Universalist Association was founded in 1961 as a consolidation of the American Association and the Universalist Church of America. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal theological religious movement characterized by its support for a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Unitarian Universalism is a conventional religion. The members don't share a creed, but they are shared by their unified research for spiritual growth. Unitarian Universalists have many different sources and have a wide variety of beliefs and practices. Historically derived from Unitarianism and Universalism, Unitarian Universalism has traces of Protestant Christian roots. However, the theological meaning of both has been significantly extended beyond the traditional understanding prior to their decision to combine their efforts at the continental level as Unitarian Universalists. Many UUs appreciate aspects of Islamic, Christian, and Jewish spirituality, but the extent to which the elements of a particular faith and tradition are incorporated into a person from spiritual practices, it is a matter of personal choice in line with the Unitarian Universalist Creed, a non-dogmatic approach to spirituality and faith development. As a result of these historical roots, Unitarian Universalist congregations tend to retain some Christian traditions, such as Sunday worship that includes a sermon and the singing of hymns, despite the fact that they do not necessarily identify themselves as Christians. According to 2007 research published by the Pew Forum on Religion and Public Life, 3% of American adults, or approximately 3,400,000 individuals, identified as themselves as Unitarian Universalists. Other religions in the United States. Several other religions are represented in the USA, including traditional Native Americans, Orthodoxism, New Age, Sikhism, Jainism, Shinto, Taoism, Judaism, Baha'i Faith, Asatru, Neo-Paganism. Native American religion. No particular religion or religious tradition is hegemonic among Native Americans in the U.S. Most of those identified and federally recognized as Native Americans claim adherence to some form of Christianity, some of which are cultural and religious syntheses original to the particular tribe. Native American spiritual rites and ceremonies are maintained by many Americans of Native and non-Native identity. The Native American Church, NAC, also known as Peyotism and Peyote religion, is a Native American religion that teaches a combination of traditional Native American beliefs and Christianity, with the sacramental use of entheogenic peyote. After research conducted in the United States, the percentages of each existing religion were as expected in each state. With time and now the results increased in percentage terms.